was actually the first topic that I talked about on my channel a while ago, since taking the video down because it's a bit crap. But after last week's video, this is going to be the time where I really get comfortable being single and getting comfortable to the point where I'm actually happy. I think in the past year, I've possibly been comfortable with it, but not necessarily happy. And there's a lot on the internet about whether you can truly be happy single. I do find that some people are happy single. I'm just not really sure if people are lying. Part of me thinks that they're in a bit of denial, and it's almost as if they're not truly tapping into how they feel. When you see women that are like, I don't need a man, I don't need anyone, I tend to not believe them, because I think the default setting for humans is to find love, whether that's heterosexual or with someone of the same sex. Deep down we are designed to find someone, and I'm always reticent to make a video that says how to be happy single, because I feel that it's almost not true to myself, and I've spoken a lot about my feelings in the past. And some of you ask me what podcasts I listen to. At the moment I'm listening to Andrew Huberman. I find his podcasts really interesting. They are quite in depth and you do have to listen. They're not like an easily listening kind of podcast. You really have to engage with it. I don't know, I'll probably cut this out. I just think he's really sexy. I'm like really sorry if you're married with children. Wow, someone that intelligent is like really hot. He talks in depth about, you know, the hormones, the chemicals that go on in the brain, and I'm not going to try and kind of, you know, paraphrase what he talks about and like muller it. But the crux of it is I've been trying recently to almost strip back all the external sources in my life of happiness and kind of almost find what my baseline of happiness is. A baseline of happiness without a boyfriend, without external validation, without social media. And I really kind of stripped back on all of that, really focusing on how I can be happy without a man. And after like listening to his podcast, I kind of realised that what I was doing was, instead of getting that kind of that fix from being in love with someone, that fix you have from having a boyfriend, that fix of having someone find you attractive and compliment you and having sex with someone, that kind of happiness feeling, because I was without that, particularly last year, maybe the year before, I was replacing that with food. Food was how I was getting that happiness. If ever I felt sad, I would eat. I would eat to make me feel better, and to eat almost past the point when you know you're full, but you keep eating because you're almost like numb. And that's how I was getting my serotonin. I think that's the right one, I'll have to check. But that's how I was getting my happiness, was through food. Because obviously through lockdown I wasn't meeting people or socializing, so I was using food as a drug, in the same way that people will use alcohol to numb pain, or people will use drugs to get out of their head. I was using food, because for me, like, drink has never been a problem, because I've said before I don't drink. So alcohol's never been a problem for me. I know it's a problem for a lot of people where they drink to anaesthetise and to just numb all the pain. For me, it's always been food. Food has been what I've used to numb the pain. And that's when I realised I needed to get back to my baseline of happiness and take the emotion out of eating. It's been difficult. So at the moment I'm like taking the pleasure out of eating, and I see it more as like fuel. And it is difficult because I you know, I want to sit there and I want to be able to eat what I want to eat, but I know I can't. I know if I want to lose weight, me eating a pizza, me losing weight, the two aren't going to mix. I've always used food in an emotional way, as in, if I go, what I used to do, if I went on like a really crap date, and you go on a date and it's shit, what would I do after the date? I would always go to the train station, and then I'd always buy like a big bar of chocolate. And I didn't even need the chocolate, but it was I didn't even realise it, but it's because I needed that happiness. And I've always sought that through food. Food was always an emotional thing. If you think about eating, it's always, you go out for a meal, for a celebration. We live in a culture where food is not just fuel. We're not just trying to survive. Food is, it's a social thing, it's a bonding thing. We can't just put food in its own bracket of, yeah, we eat to live. We're not like that anymore. When I cured the emotions, that's when I lost weight, and I can't remember where I am now. I've lost about 20 pounds, which is quite a lot on someone that's 5'2". I definitely feel the difference. And part of this, what I call, it's almost like returning to baseline. What is my baseline of happiness? I've been like learning new hobbies, so don't laugh, but I've actually been like teaching myself to sing. I have recorded some of me singing. I still can't post it because even though I know like only like 100 people are going to watch it, like what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone says in the comment section like, oh, you're singing shit. Like, to be honest, I don't really care because it's not like I want to be a singer. But I still can't post me singing because it just feels like really vulnerable for some reason, and it just sounds like someone in their bedroom singing. But I've been just in general like learning new things, teaching myself like new skills, and learning more about science, and really starting to test myself intellectually again, because I think since university I haven't really tested myself in that way. I have done things on my own before. I have gone to restaurants on my own before. I have been to the cinema on my own. I just feel so fucking awkward. I'm sorry. I don't mind the cinema on my own. That's not so bad. But there's something about going to a restaurant on your own. The daytime's not as bad because you can just pretend that you're an important person. And that's fine. But for me, I still, even though I'm a confident person, I still can't go to a restaurant on my own at night because I feel like everyone is staring at me. And I know in reality they're not. Like, people don't really care. But I still can't do that. But I should be able to do that. I should be, at my age, able to go to a restaurant on my own. I generally don't want to get into a scarcity mindset of I can't find anyone. And I can kind of feel myself getting into that kind of state of I can't find anyone. It's a fine balance between, is it fate when you meet the person you're supposed to be with? Are you supposed to look endlessly for this person? Are you supposed to be on Tinder and Bumble and go on 100 dates to find this person? Even I still don't know the answer of, is it fate? Do you have to look? Should you not look? And it's difficult because the dreaded V-Day is coming up soon, where I literally just hide and hibernate for that day. And I know it's only one day, but it's one day for a lot of people where everything is just like completely exacerbated. If you're not in a relationship, it tends to make you feel shit. No matter how many times you do Galentine's Day and that. If you really want to find someone and you're not with someone, that day can really upset people. That's why I really want to try this year to be happy alone. Even in the comment section, give me some tips on how you can be happy alone, because it's something that I struggle with. And even though I see friends and I see family and I'm going back to work next week, I'll be interacting with a lot more people. So my social inclusion needs are going to be met more than they have been for the past 2 years. It still doesn't fill that hole of having a relationship, because you get certain needs met by a partner, certain needs that you don't feel when you're single. That's what I've always struggled with. I don't think I've necessarily been depressed. It's always been loneliness and trying to meet my social inclusion needs without being needy. That's what it's always come down to. I don't know. I don't even know if I'll go back onto the dating apps, because at the moment that's realistically the only way I can meet someone. I'm not really #bar life. But yeah, as I say, let me know in the comments your tips for being happy single so that we can all like share them together. I think that would be really helpful. And see if you can answer the question for me. Can you be happy alone? Do you need a partner to be happy?